Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. We had two great ones after a really slammed schedule of games the night before. Milwaukee versus Philly in Dame's debut. You also had LA versus Phoenix, the battle of Kevin Durant and LeBron James for the first time in 5 years. Both went all the way down to the wire. Big time star performances, a lot of takeaways. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And comment down below your biggest takeaways from these games. Let's start off with Milwaukee versus Philly. There were a lot of things that were fun to keep an eye on in this game. The battle of Embiid and Giannis is two of the best in the world. How's Chris Middleton going to look with a very injury-riddled season behind him now, and now starting off the year in a minutes restriction? How's he going to play? Can Brook Lopez continue his depoy level play from last year? How's Maxey going to look, trying to be the all-star guard that they're missing in the backcourt with James Harden not playing at the moment? But all of that was kind of pushed to the side overall to focus on what Damian Lillard did in his debut, because coming into this game, nobody knew if Dame was going to have a slower debut, was going to take some time to gel with this team to find his rhythm, or he's going to go out there looking like the Dame of old and just dominate from basically the first minutes of the game. And through the first quarter, he was a little bit slow to get started, wasn't knocking down his shots, a little bit out of rhythm, but by the second quarter, Dame was looking like the usual Dame that we know, and by the end of the game, he put up a Bucks record in terms of a debut, 39 points, shooting 45% from the field, 17 of 17 from the line, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, to lead the Bucks to a very close 1-point win over the Sixers in a really close back and forth affair. The Bucks were up really big in the first half. The Sixers battled back to have a lead in the fourth quarter that they seemed like they might hold on to, but then the Bucks came back, won the game just barely, mainly because of Damian Lillard. Giannis had a bit of an off night. The stats don't look terrible. 23 points, 13 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 10 of 22 shooting. Like, that's not that bad of a game, but he had 7 turnovers, a lot of bad shot selection and decision making overall. It wasn't his best performance, also 3 of 9 from the line. He wasn't terrible, but for Giannis standards, was not his best game. Plus, Chris Middleton only played 16 minutes. He's on a minutes restriction. He was good in those minutes, 6 points, 3 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals when he played. But for the most part, they needed somebody else to step up to make this thing happen. And who else than the debut man himself, one of the best clutch players in the league, maybe in league history, in Damian Lillard, because all throughout the game, he was doing amazing things, being aggressive, attacking the basket. That's how he got those 17 free throws, shooting threes off screens. Really cool action. They ran a couple of times where they'd set a screen for him at half court, and he would go ahead and attack. Right around that, the Sixers would kind of scramble to try and stop him, but Dame was so quick, and he was either getting fouled or he was hitting a layup, a mid-range jumper. There was one time when they ran it where he hit a pull-up 3. It's a really dangerous play that I really enjoyed seeing from the Bucks. Adrian Griffin doing a good job with some of those sets early, but towards the end of the game, when the game kind of broke down, they needed buckets. That's really where Dame shined. That's always been where he's had the most impact, in those clutch moments where nobody can buy a bucket. It's an ugly game. Who's going to step up? The answer is Damian Lillard, because down the stretch when nobody else was producing, he did exactly that. In fact, he had 14 of the Bucks' final 18 points while shooting 3 of 4 from the field and 2 of 3 from 3 in clutch time. This includes a stretch where he hit a 3, followed it up by getting fouled on a 3 and knocking down all 3 free throws. He had an and 1 layup. The Sixers wanted a bit of a run to cut the lead to 2, and then to go ahead and close this thing out, Dame hits a sidestep 3 over Kelly Oubre, who was going off tonight. We'll talk about Oubre later. He was special. This is the stuff that we know Dame for, but now he's doing it on a contending team, and that's why you go out and get Dame if you're the Bucks. For years, they've really struggled to produce consistently in the half court. If they're running in transition, there's very few players, if any, that are better than that than Giannis. Sometimes he can get you a bucket in isolation. Chris Middleton can do that at times, but for the most part, they haven't had that go-to scorer who can just get you a bucket when you need one. That's exactly what Dame does. He can get to the line, he can knock down deep threes, he can run off screens, he can play off-ball, on-ball, playmake for others. Dame is such a big boost to this team, and he immediately turned this team's biggest weakness, which was that half-court scoring, into a big strength of theirs when he's on the court. And this team's offense looked drastically better when Dame was out there. They need to figure out a way to level that a little bit, because the drop-off was kind of scary, but when Dame was out there, at the very least, the offense looked really fluid. It looked good, and it's only going to get better the more that Dame and Giannis play alongside each other. They were a bit out of sync in this one. Giannis kind of struggled to set screens for him. They didn't run a lot of pick and rolls between these two because it just wasn't working super well. I think as time goes on, it's going to get better and better. And like I said, they ran some other great pick and roll plays with Dame and specifically Brook Lopez. Bobby Portis ran some good ones with them. Just everybody on this team has immediately benefited from playing alongside Dame. And I think Giannis over time is going to get there too. And the two of them are going to continuously elevate each other's games. But in this first game, Dame was the savior. This is exactly why you brought him here. It took one game to show all the naysayers, hey, this is exactly what Dame brings to the table. This is why they needed to go get him. I honestly thought it might take a little bit longer to get Dame back to where he usually is while he's figuring out the situation, but nah, did it right away from game one. Just unbelievable stuff from Dame. Super excited to see what he continues to do for this Bucks team. His impact is going to be enormous, and this again was with Chris Middleton playing 16 minutes. Wait till he gets back and plays even more. They build this chemistry up. Him and Giannis get on the same page. It's going to be terrifying, even scarier potentially than I already thought. Watching it out there in action really helped it set in for me that Dame and Giannis are on the same team. It was unbelievable. Really excited to see how this continues to build. The debut got me more hyped than I already was to watch this team this season. Meanwhile, for the Sixers, Kelly Oubre was the big surprise of the night. The new free agent acquisition comes in, and in his first game puts up 27 points on 9 of 11 shooting, 5 of 6 from 3, 4 boards, just ridiculous stuff. He really kept them in this game almost single-handedly at one point, just knocking down shot after shot after shot, and 1-3 transition play, playing some good defense as well. Super impressed with what he brought to the table. I thought he was an under-the-radar signing originally, but I feel even better about it now. He's going to have some of those games where he takes shots like this and is breaking a bunch of them, but on these nights where he's on, he's going to be a big help as a bench wing that the Sixers really haven't had in a while. Embiid wasn't phenomenal in this one. He puts up 24 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, and a block. Shot 9 of 21 from the field. Weirdly, 3 of 8 from the line. And I think part of that was the fact that he was absolutely exhausted out there. He played the entire first quarter. He said he wanted to. He told Nick Nurse that he wanted to. Looked really tired. This also led to 7 turnovers, some really weird, lazy plays. There was one where he punched the ball just directly to someone on the Bucks. I think he thought his teammate had rotated over, and there were a couple of times his hands were on his knees. He's slower getting back on offense or back on defense. Was rough, and we've seen this from Embiid over the past couple of years. I distinctly remember last year at the beginning of the season with the Sixers start off slow, and I made a video saying that, hey, Embiid's got to be better, and a big part of that was the conditioning. He's going to get better over time. He's going to play himself into shape, and he's going to have to, because Nick Nurse is famous for playing guys, his stars specifically, a lot of minutes. He wants a lot out of Embiid. He wants him to play these high minutes in the regular season. He's got to be ready for that. This exhaustion also led to him really struggling down the stretch, missed 7 straight shots in the fourth quarter. Towards the end, when the Sixers brought this thing back before Dame hit that big shot, he did knock down a couple of shots, was being aggressive again. He was still getting to the line even when he was struggling to actually knock down field goals. But overall, not Embiid's best game. Again, he'll get better over time. It's just a matter of getting that conditioning right. Tobias Harris puts up 20 points and 8 of 9 shooting. Liked what I saw from him. Tyrese Maxey trying to take that jump up to fill in the void of James Harden. 31 points, 8 assists, 4 boards, 10 of 22 shooting. Big spark plug, gave them a lot of production consistently. I was honestly kind of impressed with a lot of stuff the Sixers team did. If they get Harden back, I think they could be really good this season, or conversely, if they get a good return from James Harden, it could be a good year for the Sixers. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about Lakers versus Suns. As I mentioned earlier, the focus of this game was Kevin Durant versus LeBron James, the first battle between these two all-time greats in 5 years, and for different reasons, they were the big stories of this game. Kevin Durant mainly because for the Suns, no Bradley Beal, no Devin Booker for this game. Beal missing this game with the same injury he missed the last game with, and Book apparently has some soreness in his foot that might even keep him out of not just this game, but even the Suns home opener as well, even further beyond that potentially too. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but already for the Suns team where injuries were a concern, we're seeing a couple of things pop up. But despite that, Kevin Durant was still incredible tonight, specifically in those first 3 quarters. On the night in total, he puts up 39 points, 11 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block on 50% shooting. Just a masterclass of getting to his spot in the mid-range, hitting tough turnaround jumpers, fadeaways, all the stuff that you typically see Kevin Durant do, where you think you get a perfect contest, they put guys with length on him, and it just did not matter most of the time. He truly was a one-man wrecking crew out there. When he was off the court, the Suns were abysmal, but when he was on it, they were not only holding their own, but they were playing really, really well despite being down those other 2 stars. In the fourth quarter, things did get a lot more difficult for KD. I like some of the adjustments the Lakers made. Specifically, they started sending a lot more length at him. Christian Wood did a phenomenal job guarding Kevin Durant at points in that fourth quarter, using his length, not fouling, not biting on some fakes. Really solid job from him. Same thing with Anthony Davis. A couple plays where he would get a screen or he would try and go around and they would just blitz him, force the ball out of his hands, force some turnovers. KD ends up with 8 total turnovers, 6 of those coming in the second half. They did a great job of trying to shut down KD at the end, which ultimately helped them get this win if they didn't adjust the defense. Probably going to lose this one because KD looked unstoppable, but shout out to Wood, shout out to Anthony Davis. LeBron had some decent possessions on KD as well. They did just enough to go ahead and get this W, even though KD was inhuman for most of the night. Meanwhile, while the Lakers were shutting down Kevin Durant offensively, LeBron James took over in the fourth quarter to give the Lakers this win. He played the last 14 minutes, 50 seconds of this game, the entire fourth quarter, scored 8 straight in that fourth, and overall finished with 21 points, 8 boards, 9 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 35 minutes. He seemingly just blew past this minutes restriction that Darvin Ham had been talking about following last game. He was asked about in the post-game press conference, and he said that his minutes were managed a little bit in the first half, so in the second half, he just stuck with it. There was one point where it seemed like Darvin Ham was almost asking LeBron, hey, you need to come out of the game for a bit. He said, nah, I want to stay in there and play, which was good because if LeBron left this game for even a little bit longer than he played, they would have lost this one. Similarly, like with Kevin Durant, when LeBron wasn't on the court, this team fell apart. Their half-court offense in particular. When Bron's not out there, they have immense struggles at scoring the basketball. They just aren't able to create advantages. They aren't able to get downhill like LeBron is and dish out the shooters. It's rough. They've got to figure that out because obviously a near 40-year-old LeBron can't play 40 minutes, or tonight he played, 36, 37-ish minutes. He can't do that every single night. They do have to manage his minutes a little bit, so they've got to figure out how to be better on that end. Anthony Davis was good in this game. Shout out to him. A lot better than he was against the Nuggets. 30 points, 12 boards, 2 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Amazing defense. 10 of 17 shooting. He was great in terms of taking advantage of mismatches, targeting that Suns' really weak front court, and Jusuf Nurkic went into foul trouble, and AD just started going at him, just trying to see if he would pick up an extra foul and taking advantage of the loose defense that Nurk was playing because of that foul trouble. Just a great game from AD and LeBron James. They need to be better when LeBron is off the court offensively, but I like their defense consistently across the board. It will definitely be harder to guard the Suns team, of course, when Beal and Booker are out there, but for the most part, I thought they did a pretty good job. Just got to build some consistency on that offensive end. Some other quick notes in this game. Josh Okogie was, again, like last game, phenomenal, great energy plays, a big-time X factor, truly a role player superstar through his first 2 games. Jusuf Nurkic, like I said, foul trouble, struggled against Anthony Davis, which is to be expected. It's AD, but you need a bit better out of him against a great big like him because you're probably going to have to face Jokic if you want to make it to the NBA Finals, so that's something to definitely keep an eye on. Eric Gordon continues to shoot the ball a lot like he did in the first game, but still inefficient. They need better out of him. Yeah, just not a great role player showing from the Suns. Kevin Durant really was the entire offense for most of this game, and when they shut him down, the Suns completely fell apart in the fourth. With all that being said, those are my takeaways from tonight's games. Let me know what your takeaways were down below in the comments. What do you think about Dame's debut? Do you think the Bucks can win the East? Just after watching one game, how far do you think they can go? What do you think about the Suns-Lakers matchup, LeBron versus Kevin Durant? It was really cool to see these two guys have big time moments all throughout this game towards the twilight of their careers. Also, shout out to Kevin Durant, past Hakeem Olajuwon in scoring tonight. I think he's now 12th on the all-time scoring list. Amazing stuff. He's going to continue to climb those ranks over this season and the ones beyond. But yeah, appreciate y'all watching. Like I said earlier, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.